Like a Moth to a Flame by FiveNightsAtBarrys. Chapter 4. Read to you by Athena. You can't or you won't. Roz stared him down. Leo was frozen in fear. He had to balance the man's temper on his fingertips. In front of him, the man had thrown down a corpse. Leo wasn't a mortician or Nico, so he had no idea when this body had died. But it wasn't recent. Decay was certainly evident, and for Raish to even consider that Leo could heal that is crazy. He barely knew how he healed smaller wounds, let alone someone already gone. I can't, Leo replied timidly. The boy jerked as Raish grabbed his wrist and pulled him up and away from the person on the floor. That is a poor man's excuse. You said you couldn't heal me, yet you did. So I'll ask a different question. Why won't you heal it? Ra's face had wrinkles. He wasn't an old-looking man, but years of existence will give anyone wrinkles. They gave him an aura of uncanniness. His body didn't match. Why? He insisted again, hiding the corpse from Leo's view. I can't do it. I just can't. He raised his voice subconsciously. Raish went quiet, his uneven face making Leo's vision spin. No, see, Leo started again. Bringing back the dead goes so much further. That's almost impossible. Raish sighed. Have you already forgotten? It is the most basic principle of the Lazarus waters. What? Leo's voice cracked. I'm older than most anyone on this planet. You know this, and you know why. Now tell me again, why do you think you can't bring the body back? I don't want to. You wouldn't give someone another chance at life, he questioned, casually. Before Leo could speak up, he continued. This person died because of senseless violence on the streets of Star City, something they had no say and no control over. This was an unfortunate and inevitable death. Would you deny them a chance to try again? Death? What about family? How do you explain it if someone who was already mourned and accepted it? Leo spoke quietly. Raish made him repeat himself before answering. And who's to say they've accepted it? Certainly, someone with your experience can understand what it's like to want somebody back. Leo was pointedly silent, no matter how much he tried not to be. Would you deny someone else the chance to see their loved one again? You have every opportunity. There is no reason why you can't. What if it isn't right? He did not want to cry in front of the bigger man, but it was getting harder. Why wouldn't it be right? What if saying no isn't right? Moral quandaries can be all-consuming if you focus too hard on them. If you look at it black and white, no one is bad and no one is good. Then we won't be getting anywhere. Need I remind you, you chose to stay here on the basis that you would be using your powers. This is why you are still here. Leo maneuvered himself to stare at the corpse. It wasn't charred or ash, but it might as well have been. He couldn't stop thinking about it as Roz cleared the path between the two creatures. All you have to do is make your choice. You have done it before, and you'll do it again. Firebringer, I know you can. Leo just kept staring. In a too-fancy hotel room, Leo found himself out of place. It just so happened he wasn't the only one this time. A slimy-looking boy was pacing in front of him. He had greasy black hair. His fingernails were grinding down and his hands calloused. Walking around the room, his movements were fluid dance that was in complete control of a complete 180 from the stumbling, fainting boy that Leo had first met. Who knew a couple of hours of sleep could make such a difference? The boy rambled, hands moving from his chin to his hair to his hips and so on. Sometimes he looked to Leo, not talking to him, just considering him. Sometimes he stared blankly at the ceiling, and sometimes he looked like he had lost track of a spider in his room, glancing frantically at every corner of the room. If Leo hadn't seen true crazy, he might say the guy fit the bill. But he wasn't crazy. He was paranoid. He was panicked. He was desperate. That doesn't make you crazy. Nico was like that. Calypso would be like that. Sometimes even Leo himself was like that. This guy truly believed that Raish was a threat. Leo was willing to hear him out. His time with Raish had been mixed. One minute he gave Leo the comforting words that he had wished for ever since he killed his mother, but the next he demanded that Leo continue the very thing that traumatized him. It started out small. Kill this rat. Then it grew bigger. Kill this severed limb. Then it became a fantasy. Bring this corpse back to life. Leo tried not to think about it. Afterwards, he had to heal himself from the punishment Raish had given, and it felt too similar to his coming back to life. How could he say no when he himself had come back? Was he just that selfish? The bruises on his arms and stomach, the pressure in his breath, the weakness in his bones, it all disappeared. It blinked and it was like nothing had happened, but Leo remembered. Despite what some people think, he's not stupid. He knows what it's like to live with someone so topsy-turvy, someone who's always kind and caring except for the times they aren't, but don't worry, those were just flukes. They just got angry. Really, they do care. He's seen it all before. If you're given an out, take it. So this Tim guy does seem a bit much. Yeah. Is there any other option? No. As the boy plotted, Leo watched the cameras. Raish was out for the day, probably huffing. And you have no idea where these powers came from. Tim had his hand back on his chin. Leo hadn't told him everything. He knew about the green fire. He knew about Raish. He didn't know about camp. Not until he could be trusted. Nope, he popped the P for emphasis. Something about his answer annoyed Tim. I don't think you understand the gravity of this situation. His eyebrows twitched. Apparently not, Leo huffed. Maybe because nobody's actually telling me what's happening. You say Raish is bad, but what am I supposed to do about that? The boy bent down, their faces almost touching. You fight back! He pulled back and moved to stare at the window like he was a detective in a noir film. Frowning to himself, he continued. There are a few ways to bring back the dead. Most have inconceivable consequences, but the Lazarus Pit is one of the few things that has little to none. All it takes is a dunk and you're back. Give or take a bit of madness. To be able to harness that, you bypass the Lazarus's only downside. Each pool loses its power after use, but you don't. It's essentially eternal life. Leo felt a bit offended. If you're gonna go on and on about my powers, can you at least look at me? Tim coughed and turned back around at him awkwardly. Sorry, I get a bit into it. It doesn't matter anyway. I can't bring back the dead. Not like that Lazarus, pet. You can't, or just not tried? Leo hesitated. What's the point in trying if I know it won't work? The boy sighed. He looked to the clock in the room. We have to leave here soon. We need all the head start we can get. You think he'll come after us? Leo followed the boy around the small room as he started collecting his stuff. Us? No. You? Definitely. You're a powerful resource. Leo felt all sorts of ways about the statement, but the boy didn't notice his falter. He wasn't a resource. He was a person. His powers didn't make him any less so, nor did they make him a pawn to be played with by some bigger man. Too many people were too interested in figuring out what his powers do. It wasn't like this back home. They preferred to keep his powers delegated to the battle only, and he couldn't help but agree. Come on, is there anything you need from your room? 'Cause I don't know if we can get it without being caught. Tim waited for Leo to decide. He didn't have anything. Everything was Raish's, or it was back home. There was truly nothing for him in this new world. Leo looked around. It wasn't home. It was impersonal, squeaky clean hotel room that wasn't even Leo's either. His room technically wasn't even his. It was also Raish's. Would he ever get back home? Raish said he knew a way back home. Did he mean it? Could Tim know a way? Could anyone? Leo didn't know about this new world. Maybe everyone could know a way back home, or maybe no one knows. This was a world where people dress up in bright-colored spandex and punch aliens. Leo was used to crazy, but there was slight chance this world might be crazier. Who could be crazier than a god? Raish? Tim? Leo looked around himself frantically, his breath quickening desperately. He had no clue about anything around him. Maybe the bed he was sitting on was made of the material that didn't exist back home. He wouldn't know. It's inconsequential, but it meant so much to Leo. As his whole body started shaking, he clenched and unclenched his hands. Tim ran to his side. Leo couldn't help but jump back. Bad things happen when he got upset. People get hurt. Every time Tim moved closer, Leo's breathing got worse. Eventually, he took the memo and stood to the side, but he still spoke to Leo, telling him to breathe to his rhythm. It wasn't working very well. Leo kept turning him out in favor of his own thoughts. What if he never got back home? What if he was stuck in this random world with powers everyone but himself seemed to want? Is there maybe a song you'd want me to play? Tim asked when his breathing techniques weren't helping. It doesn't matter. Leo spoke through the hiccups. They won't exist. Speaking made him cry more. Just try, Tim encouraged. He didn't want any sad songs. He didn't want to engross himself in his sadness. He wanted it to be over. Whenever, Wherever by Shakira. He gasped out. Oh, Shakira? Yeah, she exists. Freaking play the music then, slime boy, Leo cried out. Okay! Tim rushed to do what he was told. Surprisingly, it did help. It was the world's most serious lip sync. Tears drying on his face, his mouth still in a frown, and perfect memory of every Shakira lyric. It kept him distracted, and it gave him an opportunity to calm down. When the song finished, another Shakira song started automatically. By the time La Tortilla finished, Leo's hands stopped shaking. Now he was just cold and wet. Are you okay? Tim cringed at his words. Obviously not, but I mean, do you need anything? No. He was so out of breath. About what you said, the boy started, not finishing his question. Slime boy? I just thought you looked really slimy when I first saw you. No, what? Do I? Tim looked at his arms up and down. Never mind. Not that. About Shakira existing. Why wouldn't she? You don't have to tell me if you don't want to, but how long were you with Roz? It was Leo's turn to stare out the window. A month, I think. Then why? Leo interrupted him. I'm not from here. Here being this universe? He spoke slowly to gauge Tim's reaction. A bit like Raish. He wasn't that shocked. Was it really normal to these people? Okay, that's fine. We deal with that a lot. What brought you here? A lot. What do you mean a lot? You just have people coming and going? Sorta. We've dealt with the whole multiverse thing a lot. Darn. Tim cleared his throat. What brought you here? I don't know. At all? No flashes of light, no weird coincidences. Leo put his hand to his chin. He already knew what he wanted to say. He just thought it was funny that Tim got annoyed by it. I was having weird dreams, he answered. Like, there was a guy in my dreams, kept saying, you shouldn't be here. Leo made his voice deeper than in a poor imitation of him. That probably has something to do with it. I think it definitely has something to do with it. If, Leo thought carefully about his words, if you figure this out, can you get me home? Tim was terrifyingly silent. Can you get me home? He repeated himself. I don't want to make any promises. He put his hands up when Leo tried to interrupt him. But I can promise that I'll give it my all. I have a lot of resources. One of them has to work. Okay, Leo accepted. Okay. Tim checked the clock again. Leo spoke first. I want to check something. Yeah? There's somewhere I want to go. Okay, let's go then. Reader's notes. I definitely felt myself screaming into the microphone, but I'm trying to do this as quickly as possible so I can get on to the next chapter, and I am going to be splitting that up into 2 parts. Love y'all. Thanks for reading. Go drink water. Go sleep if you have to. If the next chapter's out, I suggest listening to it. If it's not, please read and leave kudos.